Hey everyone, welcome back to another one of my self-blinding videos for this week's TogetherweR video. Eileen says hi too. Hi baby. She's sleeping on my lap here. She's like, what's up with that light? So this week's topic is how to deal with social situations involving food, which is pretty much a redundant statement because so much of social situations are revolving around food and how to cope with it. I've mentioned other techniques before, like my slow saber stop method, which is a mindful eating technique that's really helpful. For me, also the other girls have shared some amazing things as well. Our drummer was talking about keeping the focus off of food, which can be easier said than done, but does help. And let's see. Michelle also was talking about mindfulness with eating. For me, and I've only recently discovered this about myself, or at least may become aware of it, I tend, or at least I used to, tend to eat from start to finish in any social event because it was a situation which raised an enormous degree of anxiety and discomfort for me, and so I would comfort eat throughout. I don't know how many of you know this, but I used to have binge eating disorder, like really badly, and also was a chronic overeater. And for me, different binge mitigation strategies, including the slow saber stop method, really helped me to begin the healing journey from that ED of excess. Another thing that Michelle mentioned that is a cornerstone to my own journey is it is always better to allow calories than to lose control and want to binge. And in the context she was sharing, she was saying how if there's something that's on your bad foods list or, your unsafe foods list, you're constantly trying to avoid it. And what this does, just because it's something our minds do, is set you up for failure because there is undue focus on that item in the future. For example, if chocolate's evil and you never eat chocolate, you're much more likely to binge on it when it's put in front of you because it's a forbidden food that you've gotten used to not being allowed to eat. So, if you take into account your scary foods and work to incorporate them into your diet on a regular basis, the novelty or the thrill of going against or rebellion against self and self-imposed restrictive rules is far more powerful than it would be if it weren't there. If you allow chocolate all the time in small amounts, you're much less likely to binge on it. Same with other high-fat or other trigger foods. And this is very difficult to implement, but this has also been a phenomenal footstone in my recovery from BED and interestingly enough, not really paradoxically, but maybe I guess, it also helps me with my restrictive ED. Again, if you allow it, you're maintaining control. That's a decision you made. It is not just a loss of everything and a huge binge. So I do allow things like that, like chocolate. I love dark chocolate, and I'll often have a few squares a day, so that it is worked into my eating for the day. I don't feel unsafe or out of control, and I'm allowing a food that would otherwise be a huge binge risk. Everybody has their triggers. Chocolate used to be one of mine. Another was baked goods. Carbohydrates would be a huge binge thing for me. And again, eliminating forbidden foods is hugely healing and a large deterrent to problems in social situations. Also, a huge motivator for me is, and I recommend this to everyone, have a safe go-to person with you if possible for every social event. Have a friend who can serve as advocate and support. If you get stressed out, if you get scared, if you're going to get food and you're not sure how to handle it, have this person with you that is going to be glued to your side for the whole event for comfort. It may sound silly to ask for that support, but it can be the difference between getting through a social situation comfortably and not. So having a friend to go with you who can be a support is a huge, huge weapon in your arsenal against bad ED behaviors coming out. Another one is, don't be afraid to remove yourself from the situation. If you feel panicky or out of control or scared you're going to engage in ED behavior, step outside. Go for a walk. You are allowed to remove yourself if you need to. If it becomes overbearing, you can also leave early from the event. You don't have to be there. You don't have to do anything while there. And it is your right to step out if you need time. If you need to go in another room and regroup, calm down, talk to a friend, employ some affirmations, some anxiety mitigation techniques, whatever helps you, and then return to the event, great. But if it's too much, it's okay to leave. And yes, do focus on the reason for the event. It is not all about the food, and doesn't need to be. Something else I've mentioned before is, if it's a buffet type situation that you're afraid of, bring something on your own. Bring a fat-free dessert if it makes you comfortable. My biggest thing is like a fruit and veggie tray. I'll bring that. Sometimes I'll make a main course dish that I'm comfortable with. If you're bringing enough for everyone and then that's all you want to eat, it's a lot less awkward than trying to pick and choose through something that's already there that you're not comfortable with. If it's something you made or you brought, then you can just eat that. If you're not comfortable with just one item, bring one for every course. I've been known to bring a salad, a vegetarian entree, and a safe dessert. Whatever you need to do, remember that it is okay to support yourself through this event, to acknowledge that it's stressful, and do what you need to do to make it easier on yourself. Okay, so the question of the week is, what's your favorite movie? And this is really hard for me. I have several, so I'm going to cheat and share about several. One of them is called Whale Rider, and it's this amazing story about a girl who is in a native tribe that reveres whales. And it's her growing up, and it's actually like an empowerment for women story as well. Like, in the tradition of that tribe, the whale riders or the premier leaders, shamans, were men. And she ends up going on the mission to dive for the sacred object with the boys, and she's the one who finds it. And traditionally, it's a boy who would find it, so people don't recognize her gift initially. And the whole story just follows her character arc of how she proves that she is the chosen one, even though she's a girl. And it's a beautiful story. Really empowering for anybody who's like outcast, downtrodden, coming up against paternalistic mainstays in society. I really found it a beautiful film. Also, Nell, it had Jodie Foster in it. I love all of Jodie Foster's movies. She's one of my favorite actresses. And in this story, she is a child who is a wild child, like raised secluded from society in the wild. And it's a journey of her being discovered, what happens when she is brought into mainstream society, how she copes, and it just follows her journey. It's a really powerful, beautiful story as well. I have tons of others, but I should keep it short. Last, I'll mention a documentary called The Cove, and what it's about is there is a practice in a small town in Japan called Taiji, where they go out in boats and make like a wall of sound, which disrupts like small cetaceans like dolphins, disrupts their sonar and drive them into this killing cove, where they then slowly and brutally slaughter these animals. And it's absolutely heartrending. And you come to discover in the documentary that this is one practice that supplies captive small cetaceans to like SeaWorld, different dolphinariums. And it's brutal. It's really brutal. Like, the fishermen drive in the dolphins, tie them off. Then in the morning, all these trainers come, and they pick out the most attractive ones, like the females and the young. And then they slaughter the rest. And the killing method is brutal, and it's horrible. So this has gotten a lot of attention. And there's a documentary about what goes on there. And it's still going on today. They kill thousands of these animals every year, and I am a staunch advocate against it. If you've noticed my Save Japan Dolphins t-shirt, or actually sweatshirt, in my profile picture on here, that's why. It's an advocacy of this event. I'm actually wearing it today. Save Japan Dolphins. So yeah, it's like a really good proactive cause you can do to campaign against this. It's not only an animal rights issue, it's also a humanitarian issue, because this meat is poisoned with mercury, and they're feeding it to school children. So and over there you have to eat it if you're given it. So it's a really huge issue that needs more awareness. Alright, so that's it for this week. If you guys have questions, let us know, or topic suggestions. We're always here for you. Much love and be well, precious ones. See you next week. Bye, guys.